Hi, I am author Kerry Schafer, and I'm delighted to be here today as a guest host on Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. And my guest today is Jule Selbo. Jule left a long career as a produced screenwriter in both TV and film in Los Angeles to move to Maine and focus on writing novels. Her first was a mystery romance called Find Me in Florence, which won the first place Chatelaine Award, followed by two historical fiction novels, one about the amazing experimental physicist Laura Bassi in the 1700s. That was called Breaking Barriers and was the recipient of, I always pronounce him wrong, Goethe, right? Is that right?
Right. That's perfect.
Thank you. Award. The other about Giovanni Caboto. We know him as John Cabot, who in 1497 sailed under England's flag and claimed a large portion of the eastern seaboard for King Henry VII. Now, here's one thing I love about Jule. We've met before and talked, and she just is able to write in so many different genres, which always is something that makes me happy, if you know me. Jule moved into her favorite genre, mystery crime. Her D. Rommel mystery series is well underway. The first book, 10 Days, a D. Rommel mystery, earned a spot on the top 5 list of Kirkus 2021 Best Crime Mysteries from Small Publishers, won the Silver Falchion Award for Best Investigator Novel at Killer Nashville, was a finalist for a Maine Literary Award, a Clue Award, and a Forward Review Award. That's amazing, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. The second book in the 10-part series is 9 Days, a D. Rommel mystery, and its release date is September 28, 2022. So just wow, I feel like we should have confetti and spotlights and award music and all that going on. Were you able to claim any of those awards actually in public, or did the virus get in the way?
No, I went down to Nashville, Tennessee for the Killer Falchion. For the Killer Nashville.
The Falchion is on your mind, as it should be.
And it was great. It was I'd never been to Nashville, so I went a day early and did the Broadway country western scene, went to the Johnny Cash Museum and stuff, and then went to the conference, which was wonderful. It's there were about 500 people, wonderful, all mystery writers, and so well put together and just really lovely. And so I was at the dinner at the end, the banquet, and just talking to my new mystery buddy people and eating the chicken, and then they called my name, and it was so amazing. I was so surprised.
Oh, you didn't know they didn't tell you ahead of time that you had won. You actually got to be surprised. And
and then, so that's the only one. Everything else has been like congratulations emails or phone calls or something like that. But actually the Maine Literary Awards, living in Portland, Maine is, we're so filled with amazing writers here. So there was a little award ceremony and I was a finalist. I didn't win the whole thing. So, but that was a lovely little event too.
Wow, that's so fun. Killer Nashville sounds like a kick. I had friends there and also at BoucherCon, and I feel sad that I missed that. So you were just at BoucherCon got home like yesterday, right?
Yeah. And that's a bigger conference. So there was about 1,500 writers. They have writers and readers. So readers, I think they probably made up about 20% of the people, because what's so great about it is all these writers are there, but if you just love mysteries, you can come, you can meet writers, you can listen to the panels, and you're, you pay a reader and, fee instead of, for the conference. And I met so many amazing people who were just total buffs. And Joe Nesbo was there, Dennis Lehane was there, Jeffrey Deaver. So many amazing writers. So for me, as a kind of a baby mystery writer, I was like, oh my gosh. So it was fun.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. And okay, so D, I'm calling you D. I have linked you together with your character. So there's 10 days. Let's see 9 days.
Okay, and there's
we'll see them together. There we go. And we can see it
together?
counting. Sure, yes. We can see We can see them counting down. She calls herself a baby mystery writer, but I am here to tell you that as an aficionado of the genre, I do not find these at all baby novelist books. I think that they are brilliantly plotted, and the character, Dee Rommel, is absolutely fascinating. Tell us a little bit about Dee.
Well, she's not quite 30. She was a cop, a policewoman on the Portland Police Department in Maine, and she got an on-the-job injury that sidelined her. And while she was in rehab and on medical leave, it's a pretty significant injury. So she didn't know what she was going to do with her life anymore. And her godfather, private investigator Gordy Greer, says, get out of your place, get out of your apartment. You're going to come work with me. Just do the books. You're not going to just sit in your apartment. And so she starts working with Gordy in the office and gets pulled into some of his cases. And Gordy is getting a little bit older. And so he sometimes will just say, you go in the field. I'm just going to do the office stuff. So she gets to do a lot of the things that she thought she would be doing as a policewoman who wanted to be a detective. She's got close relationships on the force with just a few people on the police force. But now in her new position, they can't give her much information. So she has to find a way to get the information she needs. And she's fearless.
Right.
She will go to the ends of the earth to gain justice, which a lot of protagonists in mystery novels do. But she's got this disability now. Right. And she'll also do anything to keep her friends safe. And she just wants, justice is the word that I guess we all use, but it's so important to her. It's important to me. I know that.
Right. It's her friends and her clients. And one of the things that I love, I talked about Jule's book in a class I was teaching. I just got back from the Colorado Gold Conference, and I have a class on character development that I call Freud versus Frankenstein. And I like psychological development of characters. And I also really advocate using your character development to just create tension in the story without you having to work so hard. And Dee is a classic example of this because I'm going to say what her injury is. She's an amputee. She's lost a leg. And this, as a very active woman, this is a really huge deal for her right away. Puts her at, doing her work. It's a little bit of a problem right there to get stuff done. And then you've created these relationship conflicts for her with her job and the people she used to work with, and the people on the force who are kind of glad to see her gone and have some, antipathy towards her, and the people that she was close to who now have some conflict because they'd maybe like to help her but don't think they should. So all of this stuff is built in, along with the wonderful, mystery that we have that she has to solve, and, people that need to come to justice. So I love how that all works. Did you do that consciously, or did it just kind of happen?
Well, I just from being a writer for a long time and screenwriting and playwriting and stuff, I knew that the most interesting people for me to explore are people with a lot of flaws.
Right.
And that can be emotional and physical and psychological. And when Dee, she's a below the knee amputee, so she's got on her left leg, so she's now got a light good that she wears. But what's interesting in 9 days is she was a runner, she was a basketball player, she was all these things, and so she's trying to figure out if she has the nerve and the dedication and the ability to go back into running a marathon. So in 9 days I kind of introduced that, and right now I'm working on 8 days, and there's some wonderful things that she's doing there. But it's as a police person, if you're out looking for the bad guys, you might have to run, you might have to do a lot of different physical things. And her knowing that that's not, she can run, she can't run very well with just her prosthetic. She's not going to put on a blade to go after the bad guys. It just doesn't happen that way. So it's just interesting for me to explore the physical part of her new body and the things, the reservations she has about it in her personal life and her professional life. And so it's been fascinating. And I've met some wonderful people who've helped me a lot in my research. And
Right. Well, and the psychological ramifications. I mean, you get into that in her personal life. Things like sex, maybe she's uncomfortable about her new body and what kind of intimacy does she want to have, and those kinds of things, which is fascinating to explore. But the other thing about this, you may have gathered from the titles, just the titles of these books, we have 10 days, 9 days, 8 days. They're going to count all the way down to 1.
right.
Obviously, there's a ticking clock in here.
Yes.
It's built right into the title. And of course, a mystery thriller with a ticking clock is always just keeps the pages turning. So can you tell us a little bit about the case that she's trying to solve in 9 days?
In 9 days, this young client comes to Gordy and Dee's office, and he's almost 12 years old, and he calls himself Czar, Z-A-R, and he comes from a very, very wealthy family on the west end of Portland, which is kind of the brick mansion type part of Portland, Maine. And his mother has said that she's guilty of killing the gardener in the backyard. And Czar wants Dee and Gordy to prove that she's not.
Right.
They have.
So it's immediately, I mean, you have a 12-year-old showing up saying, my mom didn't really do it.
Yeah.
Even though she said she did.
Yeah. I think Czar is a great character for Dee to bounce off of, because you don't actually think of her as, someone who maybe does well with kids, but he's a very special kid. And there's a lot of parts of his life that she can relate to. And they just have, she's able to kind of, hold his feet to the fire, but he does the same thing for her at times. Right. So I loved writing him and the family. It's because it's all about, old families and who gets to have what in these old families. And, now that we're going through this whole royal, not we, but, we get to read about the royal family right now after Queen Elizabeth's death, you realize just how complicated families can get if there's a lot of possessions and responsibilities that go with the big, huge sense of family.
Right. Well, and the family dynamics are another thing that keep the pages turning in this book, because they're twisted. It's not necessarily the best family. We can say that, I think, as it comes out pretty quickly. So Dee is fighting her. Everybody else in her world doesn't think she should take on a 12-year-old client, for starters. And she's up against it because the evidence really seems very, very solid at the beginning that mom really did do this thing. But then you take us on this journey with really fascinating characters. I mean, we even go see I'm trying to remember, was she a tarot reader or?
No, she was an astrologist.
An astrologist, right? That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, she lives on Peaks Island, which is a great island right off the coast of Portland, Maine. And there are these amazingly well-respected and eminent, I think.
I think it's eminent, yeah.
Astrologists in the world, and the woman who says that she killed the gardener is an eminent astrologist,
right?
And so she's leaving some information that Dee has to figure out. Is it information that'll help me, or is it just random information through some of the astrology stuff? And that was also really fun to research. When you said tarot card, I have a really good friend who, Susan Merson, who's an amazing reader, tarot reader. And so she set me on paths to find astrologists to talk to, and, just the difference between those things that, some people believe in and some people don't. And so it was really fascinating for me.
What was the most fascinating thing you discovered with the astrology? Was there something that really stood out for you?
Yeah, because I knew some stuff on the surface, like I think we all do, but the sun sign, which we all pretty much know what our sun signs are, is not probably the most important sign if you think of when you were born and what kind of personality and drive and place in the world that you're going to be in. It's really the moon sign, and it's how the sun and the moon correlate. And then, so you have to get, obviously you have to get the exact time of your birth, the exact location of your birth. And then it's just this mathematical equation. And what made sense to me about it is, if we're born on the same birthday, but a different time and a different year, and the sun and the moon and the planets are all in different arrangements. That's why siblings, I'm not talking about the same day anymore, but if siblings are born in the same family, sometimes people go, well, how can they be so different?
Right.
Well, it's not so much nurture, there's also nature.
Absolutely.
And if you put the two together, I really found myself really buying into it.
It's fascinating. I buy into it a little bit more than, I would like to admit, actually, probably.
I don't know why we're all embarrassed about it. I mean, it's the animals and the tides and it's just so, and it was before, the Reformation and before the church decided that it took away from their hold over people, because
right.
the church basically wanted us all to think, well, we all are just free will.
Right.
And so if you choose to be bad, then you're going to be punished.
Right.
And if there was more to it than just free will, and astrology doesn't say there's no free will. They just say that there's things that make us who we are, that make a difference in the choices we make.
Sure.
But the church just said no more of this, and all the astrologists who were very, very well respected were just no longer
right. Well, the church, even astronomers were, cast out, I believe, in the early church, because they believed things that the church didn't think was, in line with what they were trying to teach at the time.
Yeah. And it's called a pseudoscience, but so is polygraphs and right. Psychology and some of these other sciences, that there's really no actual 2 + 2 = 4 proof about any of them.
Right.
And so I think astrology, I think it's more people, I actually read that during COVID, more and more people were getting into it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That is really interesting. And it's, I like what you say about not being a 2 × 2 = 4 science. Well, writings like that too, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
What was the hardest thing about 9 days for you?
Well, you just, as you know, Kerry, because you're such a fabulous writer, it's you have the idea, it starts to unfold, and then you go, oh, great, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly where I want this to go. And then you get to a page, you go, oh no.
Right.
And you go, wait a minute, I know I need to end there, but I need to get all this middle stuff going.
Right.
And so you just have to kind of, and I always tend to want to, have strong points of view in my story.
Right.
And the fun part of it is for me that I can have the antagonist have a point of view, the protagonist have a point of view, the supporting characters have points of view.
Sure.
So that I'm not preaching ever, but I'm showing some different sides of a topic that I think is interesting.
Right. Yeah.
So I really like to fill that out.
Right.
And sometimes that just takes time.
It does take time. But it's wonderful. And again, you do a nice job of moving us through the middle. So as readers, we don't sense that there was any struggle there. So you're busy working on the next one, which is 8 days.
Right.
Is there anything you can tell us about that yet? Or is that still too early?
8 days is, it's really takes, well, let me just,
it's okay.
It's part. Wait, I have it right here.
Oh, there we go. No, this is excellent. Readers
I know.
Fascinated by the process.
It takes place in Portland, and well, they all take place in Portland, but it starts on the Casco Bay Bridge, and there's a car accident, or
Uh-huh. Maybe.
yeah, right in the middle of the bridge. And so the South Portland police and the Portland police have to figure out who's going to take charge. And Dee and Gordy are hired to help this ancillary character, because the cops want them to stay far, far away from the actual murder that took place on the bridge, because,
Right.
you know, but they do get hired by an ancillary character. And so they're pulled into it. And in typical Dee fashion, she just cannot stop.
Right, of course.
It's interesting to do these days because now that I only have 8 days, I have to outline a little bit more. Outline, but I have to be a little bit more rigid now because I have fewer days.
Oh, I'm thinking about when you get down to 1 day. That's going to be an interesting challenge. Yeah, it will. So we are about ready. We need to wrap up, but where can people find you online? Do you have any fun events coming up they should look for?
Well, my website is juleselbo.com.
And that's JuleSelbo.com.
Right. And the books are on all the online bookstores. And then independent bookstores, depending on where you live, might have it. But if they don't have it, all you have to do is order it, and they'll have it within a day or so.
Right.
And you know, we love our independent bookstores.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to be in Cape Cod in October 16th, 17th, something like that, at a couple libraries and a couple bookstores, and I'm going to do a cable TV interview there.
Fun.
So that's kind of the most upcoming thing.
Okay. Are you on social media?
Yes, Jule Selbo on Twitter, Jule Selbo on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, you have a sort of name that you can just grab it and nobody else has it already.
Yeah, my grandmother's name, a family name even before her, and then my father's Norwegian, like Joe Nesbo, Jule Selbo, but I don't have that cool thing through the zero.
You don't have, whatever that is. Cool. All right. Well, folks, this has been Jule Selbo here on Authors on the Air, talking about 9 days. You should also look at 10 days. As a matter of fact, you might want to grab that one now and then get pre-order 9 days. Yes.
Yeah. And right now, 10 days is on special on Kindle. The publisher put it on special. So if you want to get it inexpensively on Kindle and then go on to 9 days.
Yeah, because you're going to want to read them both. You could read them out of order, but I recommend starting with 10 and then you'll want to go to 9. So thanks again, Jule. It was fantastic to talk to you again. All the best luck with the launch, and all right, that's it. Again, I'm Kerry Schafer, guest hosting here on Authors on the Air. I've been talking to Jule Selbo. Have a great day, read a good book, and leave an author a review. Bye, Jule.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you.